All right, Parashat Shoftim. No, Mishpatim. Mishpatim. In order to get rid of slavery and the concept of slavery, we need to look at what we left last week, when we were talking about last week, on the commandment of Lo Tachmod. And it says, Lo Tachmod bet re'echa, Lo Tachmod eshet re'echa, ve'avdo, ve'amato, ve'shoro, ve'chamoro, ve'chol asher le'echa. You should not desire whatever he has. Your friend has his wife, his house, etc., 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 etc. We should know that the source of all averot and sins that we need for that, a whole set of laws, is jealousy and hatred. It's very simple. The Sforno says that in our parasha, we are actually talking about the halachot of the mitzvah of Lo Tachmod. That's why we expanded last week. So these are, in a way, the halachot, the derivatives of that mitzvah. And how do we actually put it into place, excuse me, and execute the mitzvah of Lo Tachmod? And Chazal tells us that Lo Tachmod is not only what somebody else has, which is the most common one, which is quite clear. However, Lo Tachmod also what you have yourself. Don't desire it too much. It's a very, very interesting point. In other words, it is clear to all that these are your things. For example, you have a car, you have a watch. It's clear that you have ownership on it. However, you should realize that those things were not going to be left in your possession forever. Should I say bitcoins? All of you bitcoins smarties. Or how about the Dow Jones? It's all red. Right? As you see, I mean, anything. I mean, should I talk about eminent domain and, whatever? Everything could be taken away from you and would be taken away from you eventually. So the more to that matter, the more possessions you have, the more aggravations you are potentially bringing upon yourself. Have this in mind. However, we have the example of Eved Ivri, of a Jewish slave. And the example is there. Shesh shanim yavod. That guy is going to work for you for 6 years. Ubashvi'i yetzeh lechovshi. And on the 7th year, he's going to go free. You're not going to hold him forever. That's an amazing concept that, first of all, you can't enslave people forever. I mean, of course, we are talking about the time that slaves were the engine or the fuel of the economy. However, you can't hold him forever. And not only that he's going to go for free, you also have to give him gifts. Even if it's a slave that you bought with your own money, it's not yours forever. The Torah tells us, in other words, you're not the balabait. You're not the boss. You're not el jefe. You're not the boss. And you see it right away on the halachot of Shvi'it, of Shemitah. We're talking about immediately after Ma Shemitah Etzel Har Sinai. We're right away talking about Shemitah. Even your land could be taken away from you. Would be taken away from you. And you're going to practice this in Israel at least once in 7 years. You're not going to work it like it's not yours. And Rabotai, I'm going to tell you something. It is very difficult for us living in this Western society to toil with this idea, but it is actually a liberating feeling when you have nothing. You don't understand that. But it's actually liberating. You have nothing to worry about. The less you have, the more free you are. How many times we spoke about it, God forbid, let's say we lived in Europe during or right before World War II, where the Nazis are knocking on your door, and you say to yourself, I ain't leaving this house. I got crystals here, I got balcony, chandeliers, I'm not leaving this. And those who did it just pick the stuff and go. It'll save my life, I don't care about that. So you gotta think about this. When a person become enslaved to materialism, right away there is a machloket. Right away there are arguments. A person decides that something that he misses something only when you see it by somebody else. Think about it. Until that point, you were okay. You didn't feel that you need anything. You didn't feel you're missing anything. Oh. I saw you having, I don't know. Remember the time when people had to have this iWatch, iPhone, what, you know what I'm calling it?
Apple Watch.
Apple Watch, yalla beseder. Right? What happened until now? Since Sheshet Yemei Bereshit, 6 days of creation, people go, I gotta have it. People stand in line to get a telephone. I have to have it.
Also the spinner.
The spinner. The spinner and whatever else. Every time there's something else, every single time there's something else. But you were fine until that point. Now you saw it. Oh, I gotta have it. Now you feel the chisaron within you. It will take you time to practice. It will take you time, and it will take you years to practice. But I can tell you this for sure. It is doable. You need to practice. You see something, I don't know, let's say something, you guys don't have anything good, Baruch Hashem. But let's say, I don't know, what do you have? A Pokram beige t-shirt or a sweatshirt. I said, I really like it. And you said, you know what? It's 75% off. And you said, 75% off? Dafka, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Practice that. I want to see you. When it goes to models of cars, right? Raptor Shelby. Or whatever it is, a nice big, gotta have it. You don't have to have it. $186,000 on a pickup truck. You gotta be really stupid to buy it, I'll tell you the truth. I'm really stupid to buy it. $186,000 for a pickup truck. I take $186,000, I travel the world, and I still have money in my pocket. Believe me. I speak with the Dalai Lama law, I still have money in my pocket. Anyway, so right away, and this is only because of the tum'ah that the nachash, the original snake, had implanted between Adam and Chava. Right away there's a machloket, right away all the death and suffering and misery all comes from the jealousy of the nachash. The nachash was jealous. A snake, that original snake was jealous that Adam and Chava were, so he was jealous. So that jealousy brought death to this world. So you need to understand where it's coming from when you are jealous of somebody else. You need to understand what it does to you, what it does to all of us. And therefore we need to really investigate. We need to search and seek and destroy the source of all the troubles that we have in our life. And we should not just take a on the surface kind of treatment to make it go away. In other words, when I have something bad, so usually what do? I give myself a little lollipop. I buy myself something to make me feel good. That only makes the problem worse. You're teaching yourself a very bad habit. For example, let's refer to a junkie. A person has a little bit, he has pressure. Everybody has pressure in life. So, I had a very stressful day today. Oh, guess what? I'm going home, go open my tie, Put my, my bourbon, my whiskey, drink it like this because I learned this in the movies, right? That's what they do in the movies. I do it myself. Good for the movies, good for me. Go like this, go like this, go like this. At a certain point, he doesn't do it anymore. So I need to finish now a bottle of whiskey every single day. I come because I need to take the edge off. The problems don't go away. I give myself rewards, and then I'm going to get a little, That's right. You guys keep on smoking, you'll be sterile. Maybe you should smoke. We don't have so many of you. You know what I'm saying? Don't smoke. It's very bad for you to smoke. I don't care what all the liberals are saying. It's bad to smoke. You give yourself rewards. Oh, I work very hard, so guess what? I'm going to give myself a reward. I'm going to buy myself something nice. No, you work hard because that's what you're supposed to be doing. You are expected to work hard. You're supposed to have fun in what you're doing. Hopefully you picked up a job, but that's for a different lecture, right? I'll make a special lecture about that. However, you should work hard. That's what it is. You should work. Try to do your best in everything you do. So why you give a reward yourself for something you're supposed to do? It doesn't make sense. So you keep on adding and you keep on adding, but that's only on the surface. That's very superficial. You need to look for the core, for the depth, to the bottom, and actually remove that. And you need to understand, where is it coming from? Something happens, you have a certain feeling arises in yourself. You're saying, where is this coming from? Why do I feel the way I feel? You don't need to justify why you feel the way you feel, or behave the way you behave. You need to understand, where is it coming from? In other words, you are the boss of your behavior. I would like to hope so. Otherwise, there's nothing really to talk about. You gotta have some dignity. Look at how you live your life. Now, most people live their lives like that. It's a very miserable way to live life. Okay, and that's all from jealousy. So now let's go like this. Now we should know the jealousy could stop in Am Yisrael in two ways. When we jealous at each other, it could stop in two ways. One way, which of course is the unwanted way, is through the hatred of the nations. It's very simple. The nations hate us, and then they squeeze us, and then they torture us, and they kill us, and they burn us, and we all become one. So that's one way. Look at the death camps. There was nothing to be jealous there. Everybody was hungry, everybody was dying. So that's one way. Through hardship, that's one way. Through the sinah of the goyim. However, there's another way, which is a much better way, as it was in the time of Matan Torah. Vayachan Sham Yisrael. And Am Yisrael, Vayachan, it's Lashon, it's using a singular, not a plural. It means Am Yisrael was one body. Am Yisrael, at the time of Matan Torah, reached the level of Adam before the sin. Okay, we messed it up, I'm going to tell you, unfortunately. But we were there. So we could do it. Vayachan Sham Am Yisrael, and therefore Am Yisrael was there as one unit, ki ish echad, in lev echad, and so on and so forth. And the whole entire nation saw the greatness and the miracles of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the event of Matan Torah, and that is something that is completely implanted in our collective memories, in our collective DNA, in our smallest particles of the Jewish existence that cannot be removed. That's the bottom line. So, and we says, what do we have to deal with the Am Yisrael at the time? What do we have to deal with those little things that cause us hate one another? There's such a tremendous light. Such a tremendous light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so let's attach to ourselves to that light. Let's attach ourselves to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. By doing so, the sinah was, the machloket was cancelled. There was no machloket. And they understood that there's only one Reshut Ba'olam, one entity in the world. This is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and nothing basically is mine. Everything belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's it. And that's wonderful. Now, have this in mind. This is only an introduction. A pretty long one, but that's an introduction. In our Parashat, there is a mitzvah of giving loans. Giving them a loan. And also we talk about ribit, interest. as well. Loans always comes with an interest. And understanding that giving a loan is an act that most likely is going to cause to some tense relationship, some tension in the relationship. And most of the time it's quite an unhealthy relationship between the two parties. If I'm giving you a loan, all of a sudden it's not the same anymore. Excuse me. Most likely you'll develop animosity towards me. Most likely I will be on your case, examining everything you do. And you see, so it's really not healthy. As it says, Eved loveh leish malveh. The person who borrows the money becomes a slave to the person who lends him the money. Eved loveh leish malveh. So Chazal tells us in the Midrash of Parashat Mishpatim that it could also be a little different. The Pasuk tells us, Im kesef tilveh et ami, et ani imcha lo tiye lo kenoshe. If you're going to lend somebody money, don't be like a breathing dragon down his neck. Give him some space. So that's the Pasuk. And he says, the Midrash says about this in Shmot Rabbah, says, Bo'u come and see. Kol briotav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu lavin ze mizeh. All creations borrows from one another. It's a beautiful Midrash. And it goes like this. Hayom laveh min halayla. Day borrows from night. And night borrows from day. We'll see what it is. Ve'en danin ze im ze kabriot. And they don't argue like humans, like people. הלבנה לובה מן הכוכבים, והכוכבים מן הלבנה. The stars are borrowing from the moon, and the moon is borrowing from the stars. השמיים לווים מן הארץ, והארץ מן השמיים. Earth from heaven, heaven from earth. התורה לווה מן המצוות. The Torah is borrowing from the mitzvot, and the mitzvot are borrowing from the Torah. Let's use another word, or let's have another word when we use the word borrowing, is exchanging, right? I'm receiving, I'm giving. So it's a very interesting relationship. And it says, בריאותיו של הקדוש ברוך הוא להבין זה מזה, ועושים שלום זה עם זה בלא דברים. And there is a complete harmony between creations, and there's no argument. However, בשר ודם להווה מחברו, הוא מבקש לבולעו בריבית וגזל. But I am borrowing money from you, and you want to eat me alive. How? By oppressing me and by charging me interest. This is something unique only to humans. So what does it mean? All that statement, the kol briotav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu lavin min. What does it exactly mean? In other words, you should understand that the word, the universe, when I'm saying the world, I mean just word, the whole universe is dependent on movement and complete changes of boundaries and existing orders. It's always like this. Have this in mind. Stay with me. For example, water comes from the earth, goes up to the sky, and after that they come back to the earth, right? Steam comes out from the earth, goes to the clouds make rain, goes down to the ground, and there's a certain cycle. The day, when daylight comes, as you could see, as we know, we discussed it many times, goes extended a little bit into the night. I mean, after sunset, there's still light. And the same thing at night. When the day starts, at dawn, it's already the day. But it's still darkness until, it's not, I mean, if you get up early enough, Rabbi, you'll see that. So day borrows from night and night borrows from day. And those processes that Chazal calls them, but in the terms of halva'ah, these processes, this movement is what allows us life and growth. Have this in mind. Without them, the world would set in its very strict formats without any chance or ability to progress. And again, the word is to change and progress. We need to understand that change and the constant movement is the reason for livelihood, for life. It's very sad that people, for example, get stuck in a certain age and then they never so-called grow out of it. You need to grow out of this. Whatever age you are, at 20 years old, you're expected to do something else, and you'll be forgiven for that. Okay, that's 20-year-old. But when you're 50-year-old, still chasing the same thing as you did as a 20-year-old, people look at you and say, needless to say, when you're 70 years old, you still look at the same thing as 20 years old. It's going to be quite of a problem. And the same thing when you're 20, you're looking for chasing after the same things that you're doing when you were 10 years old. You need to always change. That brings life. That evolvement is a necessity for your existence. Without that, you'll perish. And not only livelihood they bring, but also beauty and interest. It's very interesting to see how things evolve. It's very interesting. And people, according to this midrash, don't like to borrow. It's very difficult them to live with the thoughts that money, which they work hard for the money, right? So hard for the money. You know the song? From Donna Summer, from the time of the flood? That money is going to go to somebody else. It's very hard for them to deal with this thought. And the Rambam in Alachot Malveh in Perek Aleph writes that the mitzvah of halva'ah, the mitzvah of borrowing or lending money to people, is greater than mitzvah tzedakah. Again, greater than mitzvah tzedakah is a tremendous mitzvah. Lending someone money is greater than that. Assuming he has returned to you, right? It's greater. I mean, not a guy who always borrows and never returns, right? But lending somebody money, it's a tremendous mitzvah, greater than tzedakah. And it says, even though it sometimes is a little bit more difficult to execute it. Why is it so easy? Because when you give tzedakah, the tzedakah you're giving from a concept of boundaries. In other words, it's clear boundaries between the person who is giving to the person who is receiving. You are the poor man, I am the rich man, I give you the money. It's very clear that you are the schnorrer, I am the big shot. That's the way it works. If it comes to you, a guy with suspenders, right? A nice, tie, whatever, Armani tie, some nice suit, wingtip shoes with two colors like this, or some Lucchese boots, gator, it says, tzedakah, lech mipo, you have more money than me, goodbye. It has to be clear boundaries, and then we're okay with that. We're playing a role. That's okay with us. We like that. That's fine. However, when you give money to people, there's no way when I'm giving tzedakah to people, there is no way why it's easier for me to give. Easier, not easy, easier, because I feel very secure in the hierarchy of where I am in the social ladder. So it's very easy for you. You are not a threat to me. So what? Lending money to someone that will face a threat is absolutely, and I'll tell you why. When I am lending money to someone, I'm demonstrating that nothing lasts forever, even cold November rain. Who says that? Guns and Moses. Yes, that's right. Right? Nothing stays forever. Everything could change. What does it mean? It's very possible. Let's say, for example, you're coming to me and says, excuse me, I need $50,000 loan. And I said to you, okay, fine, I'll give you $50,000. Now you go ahead and you open some kind of a business and you hitting the jackpot. You will not have given me the money back in like a month because you're making, let's say, $500,000 a year or whatever it is. You become a millionaire. Now, becoming a millionaire, I just gave you the money. You did it what? On my back? Now you have more money than me? Now you're more chashuv than me? That I gave you the money. And now people, when you walk into the shul, everybody, oh, shalom. Wait a minute. That I'm not interested in doing. That's why giving a loan is very difficult. And the fact that a person has today difficulties, financial difficulties, and he worked hard on the money that I gave him, still means that things could change. It's not permanent. It's not permanent. So that's fine. How about when I want to make some money? I give you, how do you call it, hard cash, hard loan, $50,000. Yeah, $50,000. How much interest you would pay on something like that? 10%. 12%. How about I'm giving you $50,000. I'm charging you 15%. Okay? You okay with that? I'm okay with that. He's okay with that. Why is the Torah so much against us giving interest? I mean, it's okay. Why, I'm not entitled to make money on my money that I work so hard on? Why is the Torah so much against ribit? The Torah calls it gezel. It's worse than a thief. A gazlan is worse than a thief. Why is the Torah has such a problem with gezel? I mean, with ribit. I'm agreeing, that's what I want. You're agreeing to pay. Why should this be any different than any other business transaction that we are doing? I want to sell my car. You want to buy it. That's okay. You set the price. It's okay. Let's say I have a car that's worth $5,000. I'm telling you, listen, this car is worth $5,000. However, for this car, I want $25,000. You said to me, okay, pay for it. I don't mind paying $25,000 for your car. Here's the keys, give me the money, goodbye, good luck. I told you the original price. I told you how much it's worth, so I want to make sure that I'm not deceiving you. I mean, so why is when I want to charge you interest, the Torah says to me, no, you can't? Do you ever think about that? And the problem that you haven't thought about it, it's not good. Because when you don't think about something like this, or you're not trying to find the answer for that, or you look at it always as a problem, eventually it will become a problem. You're going to get angry about this. You're going to get upset about it. You're going to say it doesn't make sense. Before you know, you play frisbee with your kippah, you're out of here. So let's try to see what's the problem with interest. So it's very possible that in order to understand the problem of interest, we need to look somewhere else, and I'll show you why. The Torah wants to institute a society in which societal level of positions could be changed all the time. In other words, they call it social mobility. The Torah does not want you to be stuck all the time on the bottom. So if your father was a shoemaker, but that's why in Judaism there's no such thing as royalty. I'm blue blood. That's the problem with the Admor kind of a thing, with the Rebbe kind of a thing. He's royalty, so my son can only marry a daughter of an Admor. That's against the spirit of Judaism. You want an example? Rabbi Akiva doesn't become a better example. Rabbi Akiva had no yichus, as they say. He comes from a family of converts. No yichus whatsoever. Poor. the greatness of his wife, Rachel, the daughter of Kalba Savua, that she saw the greatness in him and the greatness of the Torah, that a person like this, that came basically, as they say, from the dumps, basically became the greatest Tana that we ever had. You need to look very carefully at the way we also live today. And you'll see that many times a big Talmid Chacham, his children are not so. And I think there is a reason for that. But when we try to forcefully enforce a caste system into Judaism, I think we are missing the idea of what Judaism is big time. So you're going to ask me, how about the king, Mashiach from Beit David? Okay, there are many opinions says that Mashiach, the king is something that it's up to you. You want a king, have a king. You don't want a king, don't have a king. And some opinions actually said that, having a king is only when you're not such great in the Emunah. Because why do I need a king? I have a king already. The king of all kings. Melech Malkei Amlachim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shehu noteh shamayim mime'al. Right? Haaretz mitachat. Why do I need another person on my head? I have HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Only if you want to be like the rest of the nations to have a king, I got to find somebody according to what HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells you. But we're all equal in the eyes of God. Everybody is capable. And that is a concept in the Rambam that unfortunately is not being preached and taught and learned enough. Again, I think the fifth parak of Halachot Shuvah is a fundamental chapter in understanding Judaism. And it's not being discussed ever. The wonderful Sifrei Musar and Sifrei Emunah, and I keep saying all the time, instead of dealing with the Emunah of Mashiach all the time, let's start with the Emunah with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. First, start with that first. Do you believe in Mashiach? No, I believe in God. Do you believe that this is, I believe in God. It's the only thing I say, I believe in God. That's it. I believe in God. Whatever else derives from it. If I don't believe in God, what point is it for me to believe in anything else? So the Torah wants a society that is based on social mobility. And social mobility is a movement of individual or groups in social structure. And I'm quoting, by the way, this is not my end because I'm not a sociologist. And we also talk about economic mobility as well. When we use social mobility, we use economic mobility. It goes hand in hand. Okay, it's very important to understand that. So if you make money, you can go up the ladder and you become, so on and so forth, up and so on. And that is economic mobility, is the ability of a family or a group to move to a higher echelon, to move up higher in your income, either or lower also, or lower. For example, people from middle class become upper class, they make more money, or people from upper class lose everything to become lower class. There's always turns out that's a healthy society. A society that is stagnant, in other words, caste system. You were born rich, you'll stay rich. You were born poor, you'll stay poor. Is a dead society. It's a society that develops anger, animosity, hatred, and it's basically it's a society that kind of has autoimmune system, attacks itself from within. That ability to change all the time is a sign of a healthy society, and that could also mean in terms of education or health and so on and so forth, and on and on and on. In other words, the fact that you were born in in a ghetto somewhere in Baltimore They're not going to get like a project, okay? They're not ghettos. But let's say in a project somewhere in downtown Baltimore, doesn't mean that you cannot become a brain surgeon or to become whatever. You have to want it. You become it. It's not a problem. That societies will be impossible. That was the whole Ivy League schools that only certain people go into. And thank God for public school and state education system that came in and kind of took the glory, because many times, I can tell you this many times, you find better programs in schools like this than you find in Ivy League schools. I think you have to be absolutely retard to go to a school that you're going to pay $50,000, $60,000 a year for the same education. If not better, you can get, I don't know, let's say Queens College, you can get for whatever, $5,000, $3,000 a semester. And you got to be out of your mind. Which I went to Harvard. That shows how weak you are. If I'm so good, Harvard should take me for free. They don't, I don't want to go there. Or Cornell University and so on. There are plenty of good universities all over. So that ability to change all the time, that's a sign of a good society, a healthy society. Changing jobs, becoming, advancing in your job. If you go to a job place and in the job, if you started here, there's no way for you to grow. You have to be quite doubtful that's a good place for you to stay altogether. You need a place you're going to be able to grow. You might enter at the bottom level, the entry level, but there is chances for you to grow. That's a good company to work for. If it's something that you're entering and you can't move from there, I'm not quite sure you should take it. And you could do whatever you want, but I don't think it's a good thing for you to take. Now, many economists have a connection between economic or lower economic mobility to inefficiency and social stagnation and lack of meritocracy. In other words, you don't have the right people in the right places based on their abilities. You have people because they are the son of or the daughter of. Huh? Nepotism. No, nepotism is when you hire your own people. It's called meritocracy. Like aristocracy, meritocracy. Unfortunately, you can find it a lot among us. It's not what you know, it's who you know. I know this guy, the father from here, one time he gave me a loan, so I bring his son here, becomes a rabbi, and then takes the whole community down, but that's okay, about what I care anyway, because, kind of stuff like this, right? That's how you destroy everything. You have to rate the right people based on their abilities, not on their association and lineage. That's very bad. Now, so how does this all come out to what we said beforehand? So the thing is like this. So if I understand that everything is from Hashem, if I understand that everything is from jealousy, so what's the problem for me to give you a loan? So it shouldn't be a problem. As we said, loan is better than tzedakah. So I should be able to give you a loan. Again, but what's the problem with interest? The problem with interest is very simple, and I'll tell you not the secret. The secret is like this. Given a loan with interest would help to establish a situation that those who paid the rich people would not be able to change their situation. In other words, will create a social stagnation. Because if you're borrowing $50,000 from me, and now you're paying a high interest, or you're paying interest, that means you owe more money. And therefore you're going to stay completely screwed up for the rest of your life. It would not allow you to overcome. I am not interested in you developing. I don't want you, and I see you as a threat. And the whole concept of the idea of giving loans and so on and so forth in the Torah is completely opposite. Is to create an opportunity of change, of movement, from understanding, from a social understanding, that the society is one integral unit that needs to evolve and needs to develop. Because if there is lack of movement in society, the markets are dead. And if the markets are dead, the society falls down. Because those rich people that make so much money, with all the money they have, are not the one who spend money into the society, isn't it? Okay, so he buys himself a $50 million plane. But what you guys spend on Amazon is greater than his plane. You do it day in and day out. And the only way you do it is because you have money. Now, if you have loan and you have credit card, you can't do it. So I'm giving you credit, I'm giving you credit, I'm giving you credit. But then you're putting everything on a credit card like an idiot. Get rid of your credit cards. Use it only for emergency. You don't have the money, don't pay. Don't buy. Stretch it up a little bit. Don't worry about somebody else has. He has what he has. He has what he has. Because what do you care what he is? You want his problems as well. You only want what you think he has. But you want his problems as well. You don't want that. So you live in a 2-bedroom apartment and you got 2 kids. No, so what? That's the end of the world? The end of the world is that you owe $75,000 on your credit card and you're only making $40,000 a year. And then you start going to some loan sharks over there, and they give you 20% interest, and you take from this pocket, and there's a bigger hole in that pocket, and you can't make it. The Torah does not want this to happen. The Torah doesn't want you to get stuck, and the Torah doesn't want you to stuck other people as well. That's why the Torah calls it gezel. You're stealing from them. They can't pay you. If they could have paid, if they had money, they wouldn't come to you for a loan one day. And that's the problem that you're creating in your head. Everybody's got to have a house. Nobody. Where does it say that? Is that a constitution right for you to have a house? I mean, you must have a house. Well, I'm not saying living in the street, but you still live in an apartment. And you see what that bubble has created to us, because it was never like this. They had to bail out the banks. You should let the bank collapse. What do I care? It would heal itself. So we stopped with the housing. Now we got the car problem. We stopped with the car problem. We're going to go to Bitcoin problem. And then insurance problem. And then this problem. And then, oh my goodness. Look at what you have. Look at the bracha that you have in your hand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given you. Say thank you and appreciate it and go with it. What do you think? When you're going to become maggot food 6 foot under, you're going to get a discount if you had a billionaire or you were a poor man? You're the same way. It's all nonsense. Okay, so he got himself, a fine, shining looking car. Okay. Did you ever try to sit in a Ferrari on the LIE after with all the pot? You can fall into a pothole. They'll dig you out from China there. It's almost the most uncomfortable experience out there. But you're sitting in a Ferrari. It's the noise. It's uncomfortable. Sitting on the floor. Trucks are coming, and you're not going anywhere. I would probably feel more comfortable in a Corolla with the AC cranking up like this, nice like this. It goes by itself. We're sitting in traffic. You're not going anywhere. It's in your head. So when you give somebody a loan with an interest, you are killing his ability to progress and to develop and to get out of the situation that he's at. You are now willing to accept the fact that he has his own cheshbon with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and you have your own cheshbon. You want to make sure that he stays below you, because you can step on him, because you're a very weak and small person. You don't believe in God. And we don't understand, and then you're going to tell me, we all love Israel together. You're not. We are not one organic, homogenic, one functioning unit. We don't see ourselves like this. We don't see ourselves as a society that one is helping the other. Like the day is helping the night, and the stars are helping the moons, and the gravity. And look around you in the universe, how wonderful everything works one another. the sun is placed in one place, and it causes a magnetic field which the earth rotates around, and the earth rotates around itself, which rotates the moon, and the moon causes us high tide and low tide and periods and all kind of different things the moon does to us. And it looks like amore as well. I mean, look around you. Everything gives into the trees. I mean, look, it's fantastic. I can talk to you for weeks about this interaction of nature. There's a tree. Where's the tree? Where it gets the nutrients? From the earth. Now, how is the tree giving back? Well, it sheds its leaves. The leaves fall down. They fall down on the floor, on the ground. They're decomposed. Enrich the soil. That enriches the tree. And go on. You are the only leech who wants to take it, doesn't want to give anything. Why? Look around you. Look around you. Only humans can come up with something so dysfunctioning and destructive. You need to understand that we need to help one another. It's all about that. Whether you're a rabbi of the shul, I mean, if you're a rabbi of the shul, you should be able to thank your congregates every time they come to a minyan and say, Rabotai, thank you very much for coming. Because guess what? Who should be mechabed who? They should mechabed you because supposedly, hopefully you're the Talmid Chacham. They should respect the Torah in you, not you, because you are just like them, the Torah in you. And you should respect them because guess what? Without them, you're not a rabbi. And probably they can do without you better. But you are only a rabbi because of them. And the rabbi to his talmidim, to his students, and the student to the rabbi. That's what we say. I learn from everyone, but for my students the most. Yes, you are teaching them, but you're learning as well. It's the give and take because they ask you such questions that, you need God's help in that. So you're becoming smarter because of your students. It's everything like this. Only you want to take. You want to take, you don't want to give back. You want to take, you don't want to give back. And of course there is and this is by the way, when we go like this, we reach the Tikkun Olam. That's the Tikkun Olam. Kol Yisrael arevim ze lazeh. Arev is guarantor, right? We all obligated one to another. We all dependent on one another. You need to understand that. Kol Yisrael arevim. Lo aravim. Then they kill each other. Arevim. We care about one another. However, let's finish with a joke here. It says, it's a famous, it's a joke, he has a beard like this big. The best way to get rid of a pain in the neck family member is to lend him money. Like this, you guarantee you're never going to see him again. So there is benefit. Besides the Tikkun Olam, there's also small benefit. Take the money and go, I don't want to see you, goodbye. But beyond that, you need to understand. And that's the problem of interest, and that's the problem. It's more than just a transaction, a business transaction. It's more than that. It has to do with Tikkun Olam. It has to do with recognizing that it's all from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and He who's the one who gave you everything. It has to do with appreciation of what God gave you and the appreciation of the other person, because you cannot do it without Him. As much as He cannot do it without you, you cannot do it without Him. So what difference does it make? Look at your body. Imagine the heart doesn't want to give any more to your feet. You're going to have a problem. Everything gives back. The feet are walking, and they create the power for the heart to go. If it wasn't the feet, you can't get into a very good cardiovascular. You have to go on a rowboat, and then what happens with your hand, and so on and so forth. Look around you, and you see all the mysteries of the world. Look around you, open your eyes and open your heart. Be'ezrat Hashem, we should reach like this to Tikkun Olam, and we should appreciate one another. And there's never going to be enough, Rabotai, to say thank you. Never enough to say thank you. So, on that note, thank you all. I hope to see you more next week. And Shabbat Shalom. Questions?